you go, Dr. Darrow. Enjoy. Thanks for being here, everybody, and have a great time.
Thank you, everyone, for joining for this 4-session series. So you guys will get it every Tuesday at this time. We're also doing another class on Thursdays at this time, but it'll be a repeat on Thursdays of this information. As I've shared with you over the past 5 months, 5.5, almost 6 months, about all this information about understanding how healing is different than dealing, and wellness isn't just about thought processing. It's you have to understand the mind, the body, the spirit, the soul. All of this is part of the process of healing. And we also talked about the electrical charge and how things are stored in our body. Remember our classes on epigenetics and how trauma and overwhelm, the sense of overwhelm, can be stored in our bodies, and that overwhelm is attached to events, and it takes on meaning. And as I've shared, that I was holding this ace in my pocket this whole time, that this tool, this tapping tool that I was trained. I'll talk about Jondi here in a second. It is honestly, it's my favorite tool in working with folks. It gets us so much further, so much faster than honestly many tools that I have used previously. And I am a cognitive behaviorist. My PhD is in cognitive behaviorism, and it's got a sweet spot. But if it's my only tool, then I may be doing a disservice to the person sitting across from me. So I wanted depth and breadth in my toolbox. And so as I was introduced to Jondi a long time ago, I think I can say that now, Jondi. I mean it. A long time ago. Yes. Maybe it just seems a lot longer because of the season of COVID, but it's been a long time. And Jondi we are so blessed, Ella and Jody, to have Jondi. And she won't like me talking like this about her, so I'll mute her or something. She is one of the top people in the world to be doing this training. And it's so exciting that the folks that I get to work with and have gotten to work with in the last 6 months get to have this level and depth of experience and expertise. Jondi trained me, and now we get to pay it forward and train you guys. How you doing, Sean? It's good to see you. We just started, just me babbling. So welcome.
Thank you.
And Sean works in the school system, Jondi, and Jondi has many texts and where's that? I don't have it here with me. On working with students, tapping and working with students. So this is going to be excellent for the community member to the provider. I'm trying to think what else I want to say. Let me tell Jondi about you guys. So Jondi, this is the community folk that we've done two different, they've basically foundationally been the same information, maybe just a little bit approach differently. And they have been so dedicated. I can't believe they've been so dedicated to coming since the middle of December, meeting here at this time, putting up with me. And so they're probably so glad to see you on screen that I'll kind of let you get rolling. I'll support you, Jondi, in whatever way you need me to do. And I'll let you take it over from here.
Wow, that's quite a buildup. Thank you. So I'm very, very, very excited anytime I get the opportunity to work with Darryl. We see eye to eye. We also amuse each other, but it's in service of people and helping them learn how to feel better fast. And I feel like Darryl's absolutely right. You just can't have one tool in your toolbox because people are so different. Situations are different and they call for different things. And every famous helper I've ever studied in my life has come up with the same thing. Healing isn't a protocol. It is a way of being in the world, and often it involves connection like you're doing here with us today. We have, however, some protocols that we'd like to just walk you into. And so there's actually this larger kind of world that we call EP, or energy psychology. I have to say, I don't think it's a great name, but it wasn't up to me. So I'm going to actually um, ask you to do a couple of things for me before I get into it. I'm just realizing, Gerald, remember I asked you about the borrowing benefits and things like that, that I wanted to introduce. This is something that we'll do in the times that we are together, if you're willing. I don't force anybody to do anything. But what I want you to do is I want you to start setting the intention that even though I'm learning this stuff, whatever that is, and from either Daryl or myself, and even though we may be talking about a different kind of situation or a different kind of person, I want to get some traction or relief or insight on my own stuff. And the beautiful thing about this world of energy psychology is that it sees us all not only as beings of energy in a world of energy, but also that we're interconnected, which is where this phrase borrowing benefits comes from. And what it means is I'm going to borrow the benefit of my attention being placed elsewhere and the people I'm working on or thinking about being here, but still getting some benefit for myself. So we'd like to invoke that, and we'll do it every week that we're together. Um, Functionally, what's that going to mean for you today? I'd just like you to go ahead and take whatever it is that's on your mind or very close to your mind, very current, not a biggie. It's just something that's swirling around there. I'd like you to just take a moment, jot that down. I must be the queen of index cards. I have them everywhere. Just jot down what that thing is that's going around. One of the great benefits of this is I realize once I take it out of my head and onto the paper, it stops swirling around anyway, which is great. That frees me up to do something else. But in this moment, I want you to just write, it can be a word or a phrase about what's going on for you. We'll put it on the paper. And maybe you'll even get a sense of how big, how annoying, how acute do you find that right now? And just go ahead and jot it out. No biggie. And then I want you to turn it over and just put it down on your desk. And let's just go ahead and set our intentions together. Whatever that is, however that's feeling, I intend for this course to be good for me, to help me learn some things and also get some traction on this. I don't know in what way. I'm just saying something positive, movement forward, whatever that means to you. I'd like to have that. So I'm just putting that out there. I'd like to have that. So turn it over and then let's turn our attention to something else. Okay. I'm going to share my screen, or at least I think I am. We'll find out. Here we go. And here. And oops. Well, that didn't work out as well as I wanted it to. Here it is right there. Okay. Daryl said something to me when I was talking to him. He said that you had discussed a concept called sovereignty and that had landed really well with you. And I thought, this is so weird. That has come up more times lately, this idea of sovereignty. And so I borrowed it from what he said to me to put onto this because I genuinely think this is what we're doing. We're talking about the sovereignty of self-care, because if we do that, my impression and my experience, which for many years, is that we can help others better if we do that for ourselves first. The sovereignty of self-care. So I wanted to take that and go into our expectations, which is that these themes of self-care in this 4-part series, again, for us first, so that we might not only have that, but we might also be able to give more powerfully to those in our care. So I'm talking about self-care using modern holistic energy tools. And it's going to focus on several areas. I generally think of them as 3 areas of the human concern: our body and the messages of that, because surely it is a message making machine. Our heart and the emotional state that we derive from that. How is it with you? Right. And our minds, its patterns, and the meaning we make of things. I think these are the three most important areas that we can look at this self-care, this sovereignty over our overwhelm or stress or trauma, and our abilities to bring ourselves to this place of calm and empowerment to help others. And that's my message in a nutshell. But specifically, I'm talking about emotional first aid, which is not a brand name. It is an area of energy work. Energy psychology, which is the larger field of this work that includes things like tapping, emotional first aid, um, different algorithms and anagrams for tapping, TTT, EFT, all these sort of things. And well-being as a concept. Energy work is about, in fact, well-being. So these are tools to manage stress and what life throws at us, very simply put. Okay. The overview is, yes, I know that you have been talking with Daryl about the impact of stress and trauma. Thank goodness he's a great teacher, and I'm so glad he's brought that message to you. And our 4 times together are going to be more along the lines of these two things that are added to your toolbox: emotional first aid and energy psychology. They're very simple tools. We're going to keep it really simple because simple is more likely to be used, right? And it's not just more to stuff in our head, they're actually experiential tools. And these are ways to empower you as mentors and peer helpers and to spread, let's call it generously, self-regulating skills. Of course, that's what we want. So when we are, we can give somebody else. You will hear me say that, I'm sure, many times. So exactly what is emotional first aid? It's for us and others when we're unable to calm or soothe ourselves. Techniques that allow us to return to a calmer state, tools that we use for ourselves or others in a person, one-on-one, one-to-one, or a group. And it helps us prevent symptoms of post-traumatic stress and the long-term effects of stress and trauma. How is that different than energy psychology? Well, those are collectively many kinds of algorithms, but almost all of them deal with self-regulation abilities to calm the mind and the body. And I wanted to let you know that it's not anything particularly new. It's about 30 years old, and that there's well over 100 peer-reviewed studies that have validated its effectiveness, so much so that often the complaint about it is those numbers can't be true. That's how effective it was. I was personally part of the clinical field trial studies for 2 of the seminal studies in this area that dealt with veterans and are used and quoted widely. So I know because I was there. And I'm very, very pleased to see that we have a burgeoning amount, more than almost anybody else, but maybe CBT in this particular vein, energy psychology studies. And so I want you to feel confident that what I'm about to teach you, so small, so simple, yet is part of a huge family of evidence-based material. So I know you've gone over this stuff a lot with Daryl. The point is we're biologically wired for survival, but survival is not the only point. And what we've come to see in the last few decades of fight, flight, freeze, flop, or fawn, all those things are just natural to us. We don't do anything for them. Those are just things we're wired to do, so that if we can, if it seems a reasonable idea, we will go just like that. And if we don't, we're going to run. Why not? If that's something that we are more predisposed to do, if we have the room to do it, if there's half a chance that we can escape, yeah, we're going to do that instead. And if we can't do any of those things, we're going to have some kind of immobility response. We're going to freeze in the eyes of threat, in the midst of threat, right? But also, we have become more and more familiar through polyvagal, and I would say, yeah, probably Bessel van der Kolk has also done an awful lot in this lately. Those two guys talk a lot about flop as a no other choice response that we can see anywhere from, I think of it this way, on a spectrum, anywhere from becomes listless to truly looks dead. All of these are just biological wired in responses to overwhelm, too much stress, or too fast an amount of stress, or traumatic experience, whether it's our own or it is witnessed. So those are our tools for surviving, but thriving is kind of the point we're looking for. Well-being or thriving is something entirely different. And we're not actually hardwired for that. Survival's not the same thing, is it? So over time, this is just conversationally talking. I find this much more useful. And so I do it more often. But if we need fancier words for it, Daryl, you'll let me know. But over time, we experience an awful lot, and sometimes it sticks. We don't know why, but we're aware that it does. We carry it. Our usual way of handling things don't always work, which is why we need better tools all the time, right? Our bandwidth or our threshold, we often talk about this, especially in Dan Siegel's world, the window of tolerance or our threshold of tolerance often narrows. The more we're carrying, the more pressure we're under, often narrows, and then we can't handle it, not easily. And so we need better tools. And so all of the stuff that Daryl has talked to you about, I think has come together. And this is what we're talking about, the weave of it all, the interconnection of it all. Our autonomic nervous system, our sympathetic and parasympathetic, and our limbic system, our midbrain, where we have our alarm system and all the little detailed organs that contribute to sending out our chemical arrays, and our polyvagal, our ventral and our dorsal. Isn't it interesting also that the oldest kind of defense mechanisms and discernment mechanisms are now showing up in modern times? The most modern of our discoveries is the most ancient of our tools, the vagal system. So where do we go with all that? Well, I thought we'd just take a little adventure this time, starting slow. I would like to say it's really a stair-stepped model that works best from my point of view. There's safety first, and I mean a felt sense of safety. So I would go very much back to the Porges idea, Stephen Porges idea of felt sense safety. And also, I'll remind you that most of us know way back about Maslow. Maslow's pyramid was safety is the base of all. We can't really rise or elevate or evolve if we don't feel safe. So this felt sense of safety, I think, is more and more in our vernacular and our conversation because we understand it better now that we've got polyvagal coming in and in wide use, now that we understand a lot more 30 years later about the ACEs study, the adverse childhood experience. We're starting to get it. Safety is at the bottom of everything. And once we address that, we step up into stabilization and further still into self-regulation, self-initiated self-regulation. And that's what we're going to look at. So in this particular workshop, we already talked about borrowing benefits, that really useful concept, because we want to learn stuff, but we want to get something out of it too, right? So we already wrote down something about that. And I wanted us to try something as a group right now, because I know you're tired at the end of a day of people just yapping at you. So let's try some things and become more experiential learners about embodied information. So let me ask you this as a group, if you would. Do you ever get tension in your neck when you're stressed? Yes? Anybody? Okay, me too. I'm going to stop sharing, just be with you, okay? That is one of the most popular places that we get that. And I'm going to show you some stair-stepped little tiny, tiny algorithms. And let's see what that's like for you, okay? So I'm going to ask you if you have a moment. You don't have to go back to your borrowing benefit sheet, but on the back of it there, maybe just get a sense of how tight or tense is your neck right now. And you can try that any which way that makes sense to you. But I'm going to say something universal like 0 to 10. 0 is not tense at all. 10 is, well, it's about to bust, you know. So I'd like you just have your sense of what that's like for you. And there's lots of ways to do this, but right now I'm just going to ask that we demo a very simple version. I'm going to ask you to put your palm, which by the way, our palms are algorithms, our hands actually are algorithms of our entire acupuncture system. Our entire body is represented on our hands, our feet, our ears, even our irises. Yikes. And so that means it's always available to us. We carry our tools with us, is what I think about it. So I want you to take a palm, doesn't matter which one, and I want you to put it on your high sternum. I'm going to turn down my camera in just a minute there. And so as you can see, this is covering up my collarbone area and my thymus point and my heart chakra, same place, and my actual heart. All of them is covered up by this. And I'm just going to ask you to breathe with me a couple of times just to get this right, meaning what I'm trying to put over to you. Okay, let's just breathe in and out. Let's do it 3 times, okay? Let's breathe fully in and fully out, maybe longer out. And I'm trying to make mine audible so you can hear. And out. And let's do one more. In and out. Good job. Let's take that hand down. And now I'd like you to just start putting these 2 things together. A sense of how tight my neck is in the moment, full of tension. Whatever way you measured it before, I'd like you to measure it now. Okay? And you go ahead on your piece of paper and you write down whatever you notice. I call this notice what you notice, and it's all good. And now I'm just going to ask you to do it again with me, all right? Wherever you are at this new place, I want you to go ahead and do it again. Hand over these areas. And now we're going to breathe into this 3 times. And again, I'm aware that what we're doing is working on neck tension, but I don't have to actually say a lot about it. That's just what we're doing, okay? So in and out and in and out. And one more in and one more out. Good. I'm going to take that hand down. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and make another test. This is your own test that you've already decided how to make up. I want you to notice what you notice about the neck tension or the quality or amount of neck tension and write it again on your sheet. Just notice what you notice and write it down. Okay. And this last time, I'll say something about this tool in just a minute. This last time, I'm going to ask you to take both of your hands and put it on top of that same place. So in other words, this represents my entire body now, right? I had my left hand, my right hand, and now my entire body on the subject. So this is my body taking care of me. So let's think about the neck tension and where I am now. And let's do it again. Let's breathe 3 times. Good. And one more. And out. And one more time. In and out. Good. Just let your hands go. I want you to go ahead one more time and do that test that you've been doing. Just see where the neck tension is now, or notice the quality or characteristic of the neck tension now. And I'm going to ask you, what could you say about this now? And that's going to be different for every single person here. And I'm going to ask you if you would just voluntarily let me know, what is that like for you? Would anyone be bold and tell me?
Mine was made me more relaxed and just kind of more present.
Okay. So the quality of the neck tension turned into maybe a larger?
The neck tension went down, and it made me more aware of where I'm at right now, presently, versus worrying about everything else around me.
Beautiful. Thank you for helping me more fully realize what you're saying. I didn't want to put words in your mouth. I was just grateful that you were telling me. Anybody else wish to tell me what it was like for them, fully expecting that it's different for somebody else? Yes, ma'am. Ella?
I just realized that I started with the neck problem, and by doing this exercise, I already did so moving my laptop, and I feel much aware. I concur with Jody, I think, yeah, and I'm calmer. I'm calmer.
Very good. Thank you for that report. That seems useful too. And somebody entirely different. It might be a change in a number that you noticed. It might be a type of movement differential that you noticed. It's so personal, which is why I love it. Right? Anyone else? Daryl, I think that was a
I was gonna just say, I noticed that, the number was pretty similar, but the feel of it was a little bit different. So maybe my number scale wasn't super accurate anyway. But it was also just a nice awareness of, this is me time, and that's not something we get most of the throughout the day.
exactly. That was a perfect segue, by the way. I appreciate that so much. And it's not that I don't want to hear from everybody else, but I'm aware of racing time too. So I just want to say, one of the things you might notice about this tiny little body on body tool is that this looks remarkably like stuff we do all the time. Yeah, nobody's looking at me going, what is she doing? Right? I can do me time in a meeting. I can do me time while I'm in the car. I can do me time while I'm on the phone. It is so tiny and so powerful yet. And that means I can do it quickly. I can do it privately. I can do it often. And my Jondi mantra is feel better fast, right? Because when I do, my behavior follows. So, and Sean, I know you clicked off for a minute. I just want to tell you, one thing I've noticed about the subjective units of distress or discomfort scales, like 0 to 10, is often it's like our right brain and our left brain are not on board on the same kind of measurement scale. So sometimes it gets really hard to put our words with our numbers and whatever. And I don't know, she's asking me like my neck is a number, I don't know. And very often we'll just shut somebody down and go, it's a 6, fine, it's a 6, right? But it's not a very good moniker often. And so what I think that we're learning is that we have different qualities of pain, discomfort, or experience that are going to help us get much more in touch with what's going on with me now. Because then I can actually treat that better than just go, okay, it's 6, it's 2, better, good to go. Okay. It's not a very mindful sort of pursuit. And, you know, I'm not prissy and meditative and all that sort of stuff. I'm mindful of the me that I'm learning about all the time. So thank you for giving me that little segue to say that with. I wanted to, you know, I'm just, whoops, I forgot to show you that. I'll be sending you some graphics and stuff. I just wanted to show you on my screen that little happy man is sort of my mnemonic device. It's a visual, but it's my mnemonic device of, oh yeah, and going ahead and self-treating whenever I start to feel snarky or cross, or that I've had enough, or that I'm really not loving this. Any of those will do. But when you see this little face, I'm going to send that to you. And thanks for taking a look at that. Let's try something different together now. I'd like you to look down at maybe something that you, let's go back to what you wrote down on the card when we first started, which could have been a situation that was going on for you or something in your mind that was going on for you. You can go ahead and assess if you've noticed anything differently, but I'm going to take it further and I'm going to say, where do you feel that situation or concern or worry? Where do you feel that in your body going off like a signal, like a response, right? Anybody want to share how or where that is in your body right now, what it's like for you? Yes, this is a demo and you don't have to do it, but I would love it if you would grow with me into this small community, being comfortable enough with each other to try different things together and see what you like.
I'll share.
Thanks, Jody.
This is my second day in the job.
Oh
and
my.
So, my stomach is upset. I'm nervous all over through my body because I don't really know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm somebody who likes to know what's going on. I don't care what it is, but I like to know. And so I'm feeling pretty out of control throughout my whole body right now.
Thank you so much for sharing and allowing us to see if we can be supportive of you. Okay. And so I'm going to ask everyone, remember, borrowing benefits means you're going to get benefit too. In this moment, I get to turn my entire attention to Jody and see if I can be helpful to her. Okay. So I'm going to show you a new slide. And this is something I want you to do with me. It's called 4 thumbs. It's really easy. As you can see, it has 4 tiny pieces. I'm going to take off these and I'm going to ask you just to follow along with me. We're going to breathe and we're going to hit these acupressure points, okay? Easy peasy. So I like to use my finger pads, mostly my index finger and my middle finger, and I'm just going to tap gently underneath my eyes. There's a bone underneath your eyes. So right on that bone, gentle tapping. There you go. And let's just breathe in and out. And then I want you to go back to those collarbones. If you go to the end of your throat, you'll find those 2 clavicle knobs. Right underneath the knobs, there's a slight depression in your chest. And frankly, your fingernail pads are probably pretty big, so you won't have to worry about hitting it just right. Just tap there. That's good. And now let's go to that thymus point, which was before it was underneath our hand, right? It's right there, around about our heart space, right? And just tap here. Good. And last one, it's a little awkward for me because I've got like a bigger than normal COVID chest right now. So I'm going to take my hands. I'm just going to go across with my arms and tap on my rib cage. Okay. So you can do it like Daryl, but somehow I reach across and I just tap on the side of my ribs and I breathe. And that's it. 4 simple steps. So just relax yourself for a moment and let's put our attention onto Jody. Jody, I heard you. This is my second day on the job and my stomach is upset. I don't like not knowing what I'm doing. And it's kind of throughout my body. And I'm going to ask you, what are you noticing about it now? Which is an awareness question. That's all. No judgment. What are you noticing now?
When I'm focused on doing those different points,
Mhm.
it calms me and it takes away all of the like butterflies and everything. Just like the last one that we did, I was good, calm until you had me look at what I wrote down.
That's
And
right.
then the anxiety went up again, and then I did these, and then I'm calm again.
Exactly. Well, the good news is most of the time people don't make us look at this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing, but it shows us that little self-treatments on a PID as needed basis is a way that I do self-care. It's my RX for self-care, right? And so right now I notice that I can take the situation, take where I notice it going off in my body, very quickly address it and put my attention onto the algorithm that I'm showing you. And in one round, well, that's calmer. Great. My motto, one of my many mottos, is that humans don't do anything for no reason. If it works, they do it again. If they liked it, they do it again. If they find it advantageous in some way, they do it again. So let's make like humans and do it again. And let's see, okay? So underneath the eyes and just a breath. And on those collarbones, right underneath the knobs. And in the middle of the chest, the high chest, the sternum. And then just do the rib cage. Nice long exhales and stop. Turn your attention again to my stomach that's been responding to this second day where it's really hard to know exactly what's going on. Your stomach, though, is trying to tell you, hey, I need some attention. Hey, I have information for you. We're holding this, right? So take that body information now after your second round of this, and what's that like?
Actually, I started giggling because I'm thinking about us doing all this the other one was not so obvious, but this
Yeah.
one might make people look at me a little weird.
Exactly. Well, here's we'll talk about that some other time, but I will show you. This is what I showed a veteran one time. Ready? All right, everybody. I'm done. I don't have to show everybody in the world what I'm doing. I don't have to explain myself. But I do know that putting my conscious awareness onto my self-care needs very quickly brings me right back into alignment, right back into a grounded position so that all my resource states are fully available to me. And that's what I want, especially when times are confusing, right? I need access to all my resources and I need my whole brain to be available and checking things out, right? And so the way I do that is to go ahead and get body conscious, notice what's going on, tell myself the truth, and treat it, self-treat. right? And so that brings me back into a resource state. And that's what I was trying to help you with. So I really want to thank Jody for giving us the respect and the honor and the honesty of doing that with us. So along those lines, you know what all these are like. You feel these symptoms all the time, and so do your clients and students and whatnot. We have stomach and digestive problems. Of course we do. In our first brain, the gut brain, right? We have heart arrhythmias, breathing problems. We get easily irritated, angry, reactive, jumpy, hypervigilant. All these things are stress reactions or traumatic incident reactions, even if they're just vicarious. Well, we don't want to go there, but we do want to realize that that's just our body talking to us in the only way it can, which is symptomatically or sensorially, whatever you'd like to say about that. So when we become aware of how our body speaks to us and we can name that thing, Jody named that beautifully. My stomach is going off. This is what I'm handling right now. Just very simply in the truthful statements she made is our medicine, is our self-care medicine. So let's do this. I would like it if everybody would come up with your something, okay? And your something is what? Let's say what we started with today. It's either something that's on my mind, it's something that's going on in my body, or it's some kind of emotional state that I'm noticing. And I would like you to go ahead and give it a benchmark sort of valuation. It's big, it's small. It's 9, it's 4. With little kids, I like to do this. Show me with your hands, right? But since a lot of me as a little kid, I do that a lot, right? Yeah, it's about yay big, right? Just some sense of it. Okay. And then next thing we're going to do is we're going to tell the simple truth. I'm going to show you another spot. This blade edge of the hand, kind of fatty, and it's between the pinky and the wrist, right? The blade edge of the hand. So I'm going to take these finger pads and I'm going to tap on the blade edge of the hand. And this is where I tell the simple truth. And since each of you has something different, I'm going to use some collective language with your permission. Even though this is going on for me, could you say that? And then let's just say an acknowledgement statement. That's just how it is right now. And let's do it again. Let's really start focusing in, even though this is what I notice happening for me right now. I acknowledge that's what's going on. And let's do it one more time. Even though this is what I'm noticing in my life right now. It's just where I'm at. And that's the truth. Now we're going to hit some of these body acupuncture points, okay? So if you'll just follow me, you need not do anything else but say this thing and just keep on task, okay? Go to the top of your head, do what I'm doing. This thing. And now let's go to where the eyebrow meets the nose. We've got 2 of those, either one will do. This thing. And right across the eyebrow to the side of the eye, this thing. And right underneath the eye where you've been before, this thing. And then under the nose in that channel, this thing. And underneath your lower lip, this thing. And back to those collarbones right underneath them. I'm doing both right now. This thing, doesn't matter. And then I'm going to go ahead and end up where I showed you before, the rib cage, this thing. I'm just going to breathe out for a second. And I would like you to look at your piece of paper. Just see, This time I wasn't thinking about anything but my stuff, right? But we collectively handled it as this thing. And we made some kind of valuation about its intensity or strength or the quality of it. And now's the time for you just to notice what might be different. And if you would go ahead and make that note for yourself. And is there anybody who wants to comment on that? Because I'm not sure what's going to happen. Each person is different. I say that often to remind you, just because one person feels that doesn't mean I need to. It's very personalized experience of self-care. Anyone can speak to that? The thing that you were concerned about or thinking about.
One of the things I notice is it's just a real simple, like perspective shift into your, you think of this garbage or whatever, and it's not garbage, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
But after doing this, you calm down a little bit, and then you can kind of see the picture a little bit more clearly.
I do have that experience a lot, which is why I'm nodding like the dog in the back seat of a car there. I do have that experience of it, that it helps me get a bigger picture really fast. I often compare that to when I'm looking down at my feet, just feeling really hangdog about this thing. But if I look up, and if I look way up especially, I do get not only an embodied sense of that, but also a mental and emotional sense of bigger picture, which definitely helps me to deal. So thanks for allowing me to riff off what you're saying, Sean. Anybody else have anything that they wanted to say? And does anyone else want to do something with me? Because we got a few minutes here, and I'm willing to take you specifically through that, but I don't have to. It's open to you.
I noticed that the thing on my mind is my daughter, but it's so huge that with each tap, I was trying to identify what it is exactly that makes me feel the way that I feel about my 29-year-old overwhelmed manic daughter. And so I think it helped me name, I guess, by the end of the tapping, what it was that is hurting.
I'm very, very grateful for that share. When we can name it, there's all those kind of pop psychology kind of ideas, name it to tame it and all that. But truthfully, I do believe that when we are able to come to enough awareness of what it is going on for us, that we can put words to it, we can deal with that simple truth, and we can access resources for that. But the first thing, which Daryl has heard me say many, many times, is the first thing we must do is tell ourselves the simple truth. And the first person we tell is ourselves. Everything else is dropped down as far as I can tell. So thank you for saying that. And I'm just going to go back, with your permission, everybody, I'm just going to go back to something I showed you a minute ago, because it's so soft and so gentle, and it speaks to, I think, that idea of the heart. Would you be willing to do that with me?
Sure.
Great. And so Teresa, let's do this. This overwhelm I'm feeling about my daughter, is that the best name? Is that what I should call that? I'm not going to be talking about it a lot. I just want to sort of identify what you're calling that.
Yep, that's a good one.
Okay. And so everybody, back to borrowing benefits. We're not doing our direct experience right now, but we are lending our support to someone else, knowing full well that's going to help us too. And I'm just going to ask you to go ahead and use that two-handed approach and put it right over the collarbone, the thymus, and the heart. And I want you to just breathe with me. 1 and out. And 2. And 3. I'm going to ask you to slide the bottom hand to the top and then put it back down. And I'm going to ask you one question before we go on. We're going to do this 3 times, by the way. The question is, what one thing is present to me about this situation? Just one, whatever the first thing that comes.
Loneliness.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to repeat, if it's okay with you. I'm okay, and what is present to me is loneliness.
I'm okay, and what is present to me is loneliness.
Let's see how it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's breathe again. 3 more breaths. Nice long out. And 2. And 3. Good job. Once again, change the hands, put them back down. What one thing is present to me about this now? Anything?
The hurt is real. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling very in my hurt.
So I'm going to ask you to say, I'm okay, and
I'm okay, and I'm feeling in my hurt.
okay. One last time of these breathings, okay? 1. And 2. And 3. Good job. I'm pushing my hands for the last time, and I just want to ask you for the last time. And now, what is most present to me about this whole situation? Say again.
The unknown.
Unknown. Okay.
The unknown. I don't know.
All right. And so I am okay. And
Okay.
most present to me about all this is the unknown.
Present to me about all this is the unknown.
And I'm going to pair this together with that little simple tapping that we just did, okay? We take our simple truth that we found and we put it right back in. So do with me, even though what's most present to me . Teresa, would you say after me, what's most present to me is the unknown.
What's most present to me is the unknown.
That's the truth.
And my puppy that's going crazy behind me. I'm sorry if you can hear that.
That's okay. What's most present to me about this whole thing is the unknown.
No, what's most present to me is the unknown.
And that's the truth.
That is the truth.
Right here, right now, what's most present to me
Most present to me
is the unknown of this whole situation. And that's where I'm at.
that is where I'm at.
We'll take that one word that you identified as a reminder phrase to keep on track, right? Back up to the top of your head. The unknown.
The unknown.
And right to your eyebrow. All the unknown. And to the side of your eye. All this unknown. And underneath your eye, the unknown.
unknown,
Underneath your nose, the unknown.
unknown,
Underneath your lips, all this unknown.
unknown,
And collarbones right underneath. You can do one or two. The unknown.
the unknown.
And on the rib cage, all this unknown. And that's all I'm going to ask you to do right now, except for just give us some sense of where are you with this situation and the state you find yourself in, just being with it.
Breathe easier.
Say again.
I can breathe easier.
I can breathe easier. Beautiful. Beautiful.
And I'm
Anything
okay
else?
with the unknown. I guess the unknown was causing a lot of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I feel better about the reality that it's just a big unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I can't control everything.
Yeah.
Not even my puppy.
Especially not our puppies, right? So
Oh,
thank you. And I want everybody to thank Teresa for being able to share that experience with us. I would like to also ask you, go back and look at your card, see what kind of borrowing benefits you have, because I want this to be meaningful to you. That's why I keep throwing it in there, that this is a good use of my time, whether I'm helping myself or I'm helping another, or I'm helping both of us at the same time, right? And just notice what you notice. If anybody wants to share, please do so. I know I'm at the end of my time, but I just wanted to give you one more thought about that today that you could share with one another if you wanted to. It's all good. Anyone?
I know after Teresa mentioned that what we're talking about, I felt the immediate tightness of my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And as we progress through those, I don't anymore. I don't know.
This is good. I mean, we do know that we react to other people. You know, this is our insula and our neuroception and all of our empathy, the way we're built, right? This is why we get vicarious traumatic kind of response so easily. It's because we do identify, and the closer we are to them, or the more in our peer group they are, the more it's important that we are able to have that experience, but also to release that experience, especially when it's not ours, right? So beautiful share. Thank you so much. And I'm just showing you, these are the last points I'm going to show you while I ask you to sort of tap in whatever you noticed for yourself today. The fingernail beds, I take my fingernail, my finger pad, and I put it against my fingernail bed like that. And that feels kind of funny sometimes. So I go ahead and anchor it with another finger. And by the way, I don't do this in front of my face all the time, but I'm showing you because it goes ever so nicely underneath my Zoom camera. Let's go to the next finger. Or in my lap, when I'm in the car, when I'm on the phone, next finger. When somebody's talking and I would really like to interrupt, but I'm trying really hard to mind myself, mind my mouth, trying to make you smile there. But each of these fingernail beds lead to different parts that go right along your triple warmer here. We don't need to know anything about it to feel if that's right. And so I'm going to show you on the other hand, I'm just going to do this so to maybe reinforce the feeling of what that's like. I do this all the time. It's almost like a fidget kind of thing that other people see me do. Oh yeah, she does that a lot. I don't know why she does that. And so I'm just going to go ahead and prompt something. I learned a lot of different things today, even if they were really simple. And I've got a lot to think about. And I'm just going to let it integrate and see where I'm at with all this stuff. Because sovereignty over self-care seems like a really good thing to do. I'm out of time. I'm past time. I thank you for your graciousness and attention. Hey, Dr. Darrell, what you got to say there?
I always like listening to you teach, Johnny. I don't know how many times we have done this, but
I don't know.
every time it's just awesome for me. And I know we have to hustle, but I know when this hasn't gone as well for me when I'm working with somebody is when I get away from the simple truth.
Yeah.
Is when I try to make interpretations instead of calling, here's just the facts, ma'am. But I say, and it means this, or it could mean this. When I lose track of what is just the foundation, I had a little tiny headache I got a headache and that's just how it is right now. And that's it. I didn't say because or anything like that, which is kind of our tendency.
Yes.
So if we can stay away from that and just stick to the truth, then you'll notice it. You'll get a lot further with the simple truth.
I do love that. Thanks for bringing that home, Darrell. Thanks a lot, because I learned that when I was working with kids, and you've heard me tell this story before, but when they're describing things, they have a much more creative mind about describing things. So I might say, I've got a headache, and some little kid might go, my head's like a cracked egg. And, it doesn't do me any good or them to say, well, do you actually mean that you have a headache and it's as if there is a crack, as if your head? No, just take their simple truth. Got it. Cracked egg head. Okay. Right? No thinking on my part, no reframing on my part, no synthesization on my part. It's direct, it's truthful, it's easy, and it's fast. Thank you, Darrell. Appreciate that reminder.
You guys, everybody have my email if you had questions for us. dptonema@gmail.com.